Inconsistent design actually leads up to 55% trust loss. Aligned UX or UI, it's equal to a 31% faster task completion rate internally inside your team. Consistency in your overall design process cuts overall quality time and decreases the bugs up to even 40%. Teams with the proper design tokens can work 2x faster. 70% of the UX portfolios get rejected in a company due to inconsistency. How to make it structured, how to make it very consistent. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down into short elements for you. Let's get done. So, I wanted to tell you what is this concept for. Actually, consistency is equal to a spline alignment of a design, spinal alignment of a design, same like how the body has been aligned. We've been seeing the skeletal system in the last week. I think you will be knowing what I'm talking about. Just in case if you have not watched, I would highly recommend you to go and watch the previous days and come back here. Same spacing and typeface and grid ensures the comfort of the user to have a better flow for navigation. Definitely, it reinforces your brand identity and it supports a long term stability. Why? Because your brand will not fade away over time. See, why brands are spending a lot of time? Why? Because if they're spending too much time on quality and development lifetime, they will have to pay for more designers and developers inside their team, QA team as well, right? So instead of spending a lot of time and effort and money and resources, if they could have a system properly built, which is very consistent, they could save a lot of money. That's exactly the reason they're doing it. Product design studios definitely needed this in order to have a big scalable growth. Most importantly, in interviews, if you're not having the consistency towards showing your projects and work as a student or someone who want to get hired, definitely this spoils your interview process. Okay, it also develops a very big inconsistency inside the cognitive ability of the people in order to do the work effectively in the UI. Okay, what are the most mistakes designers do? See, designers do a lot of random spacing and padding. I think, in fact, in the last video, we have seen how to build components and structure based on that elements, and more importantly, how we can scale the components, which is having more repeatable elements, spacing, padding, as well as the dimension, color, and everything. Okay, it avoids visual consistency. The font variation can be avoided. Most importantly, color inconsistency confuses the people a lot. This is why we need to follow a consistent framework, which we also saw in the last video. Component creates exactly the grid rules. In fact, last video also we saw about the grid line. So these are all now connecting the dots. I'm sure you will be able to get it. Redesigning the entire things makes you grow exponentially. See, the point is, many designers make these mistakes. They don't understand the core elements of it. Let's take one example. Like, let's say if you're building a 4 point system or an 8 point system, this creates a very seamless spacing and the grade inside your design process. Let's take an example. Like, let's say if I have to open Figma, okay, if I have to show you, like, let's say what exactly I've been showing in the last example. Okay, just a second. Okay, yeah, I'm just opening the last example what we had. Yep. Okay, so let it open parallelly. So each and every points, whatever you're creating, even in the type scale, what we saw in the last video, if you could able to scale your typefaces to 2 or 4 or 8, it creates a very consistent and scalable pattern for the users to recognize it in an easier way. Let's say if you're having one scale of the typeface as 1.5, or the other one is 2.75, or maybe 3, or maybe you are manually dragging and dropping, it creates a huge inconsistency inside your design process. And more importantly, it will look very shabby and ugly. That is why it is recommended to have this. Even if you wanted to make a responsive grid for your web development or app, it's good to have a 12 column, 6 column, or 8 column, which is going to keep you very consistent inside the grid system. Okay, and type scale line height, I think we saw in the last video very detailedly. Okay, colors and states also I've shown you. In fact, you can do it for shadows. In fact, you can code everything and put it into a token, and you can assign it for your other teammates also to start working on it. We'll see tokens in the next video in the upcoming future, but this all can be done with a proper structural way, and it can be reusable again and again. The whole point of using this is to make the components reusable in a more consistent way. That's the main advantage out of it. Okay, so just in case if you have not known about it, I think we saw this prototype. We saw a very, can you see? So last prototype what we saw is we saw a Hoover effect, and more importantly, you can see there is a big consistency with respect to the elements, with respect to the padding, with respect to the typeface, with respect to the colors, with respect to the boundary, radius, everything. Let's in case if you want to create a form, you can still duplicate it. You can create a component around this form. You can create form 1, form 2, form 10. You can customize it. Don't have to touch the main component. You can customize the instances so that that part alone changes. If you change the main component, then it will go and change everywhere in the place. So you can use everything in a more easier way when you watch the previous videos and come back here, because saving time, making it productive, how fast and efficient you are, this is what recruiters really check inside you when you're applying for the job, when you're doing a design tasks mainly. So think about it. Okay. So I think we have taken a lot of case studies and examples also in the last video, but I'm just taking an example of 6 pixel, 12 pixel, 20 pixel. I think you can use this type of plugin called type scale. Okay. You can very well understand how this type scale can be used inside. Okay. Plugin, so that you can start creating a scalable systems inside it. It avoids inconsistent elements. It also makes the user less confused, and you can use 8-point spacing type scale, and you can also make it very clean and predictable. And more importantly, when you do all these things, retention of the user becomes very high. If you take banking app, e-commerce app, anything, still the statistics is much same. See how much benefits it is showing. You can use all the tools, like let's say you can use the Figma auto layout consistently, because now what happens is when you open Figma, like let's say if we want to close this, we want to open a new file. Okay, probably the prototype is coming. Let us open the actual file. Okay, where exactly I've kept this file, let me open it. This is one of our student. Yeah, I think this is a file what we have used for our rough purpose, right? Like let's say if you're creating a button around it, like let's assume, okay, yeah, if you put R, you can create a small button. I'm just keeping an example so that you can try practicing on your own as well. Okay, you just have to create a complete radius around it. You just go to your file. Okay, you can just bring all of your, maybe like a small button. Okay, so you can just use it. Text, you can bring it something like, imagine. So now you've created a text, you've created a icon to represent it, and now what we can do is we can create something called shift A. The moment when you create shift A, it creates an auto layout. Can all of you see here? There is an option called auto layout. So now, the moment when you create auto layout, first of all, let me tell you why this auto layout feature is much important for creating a structural consistency. Previously, Figma doesn't have this feature. The very reason why they brought auto layout is to make sure that all the layouts are automatically aligned very well for the designer to make it. Very simple, as simple as that. This is to make life easier for all of the designers. This feature has been brought. Just in case if you don't know what is auto layout, you can just go to this particular panel. Okay, you can just look at it. Okay, so this is the option mainly what we have. In fact, if you want to see that, this option is for creating the horizontal and vertical movement. This is for creating the dimensions of it. This is to create the alignment where you want to keep. This is for the gap. This is for the padding and content. Okay, so now I'm going to be showing you each and everything what it is meant for. Okay, so let's say if you just hover your mouse around it, you'll see that this is called 38, right? Can you see the gap? Can you see the number it is getting reduced or increased? You can keep it. If you do it manually, it will create a huge inconsistency. The very reason you can do it with the numbers is very precise measurements can be done. Even you can do something like 36.5 divided by 2. Figma even calculates mathematics very easily, right? So you can do that. And also you can do manually with this option as well. Can you see here? You just click your mouse and you can do it. Next, you can also increase the padding. Can all of you see the top padding is coming? Can you see this option padding in the right hand side? The numbers are changing. So you can use it. You can use left hand side padding. Let's say if you want to bring another icon here. Okay, you can just keep it over here. Or maybe if you need the users to keep their thumb very comfortably, here the error rates might come down. Here misclicks can happen. So you can just leave that space so that the user can very well utilize it. So something like that, you can even use the bottom padding to happen. Maybe this side you can keep a common pattern. So whatever it takes, you can create it. So the very moment when you create this auto layout, you can also make the consistent little center. Can you see the alignment? If you want, you can keep it right. If you want, you can keep it bottom. If you want, you can keep it tight. So wherever you want to keep, see, for one button, I'm just showing you an example. But when you have 20 buttons like this, it becomes very easy for you to keep it. Okay. We talked about the down. Can you see? The moment if I click the orientation of the down, it goes in the bottom. Like let's say if you have 5 buttons, each and every button will go down. Okay, you can create horizontal, you can create like a clustered component. Okay, you can create like a grid. So you can literally do whatever is comfortable for you based on the requirements of your use case. Okay, and just in case if you want to increase your dimensions, you can also manually go and resize it, not a problem. Okay, in auto layout there is an option called excluded and included. Let's say if you have elements which you have to consider including in your whole dimensions, you can give this option called included. Like let's say if you have another icon here, imagine. Okay, maybe I'll put it here. Okay, it'll be better. See, it's moving around because I have not freezed any of the content here. Okay, I'm just trying to add more buttons here. Home. Let's put one more guy here. Okay, let's build as much as possible. Okay, because the reason why it has gone down is because I've created a very tight padding. Okay, I can also reduce this padding. I can also reduce the gaps. Can you see here? Everything can be done. So the point is now I can duplicate it. Okay, I can duplicate it. I can keep on duplicating it. And I can all select once and then I can also do. Can you see here? So when you have 4 buttons, literally you can do whatever you want. This becomes very, very useful when you're building a very complex UI, very complex SaaS dashboard. But you need to have a plan first before you start building it. Then only the auto layout can be worked out very easily. Okay, in fact auto layout has many features. In fact, if you want, you can create a content which can freeze to the left hand side. Like let's say you can also freeze the content to the center, something like this. Can all of you see here? You can do whatever you want. You can also create the content. Like let's say if you're adding more icons towards it, you can also put included. Right now I don't have much buttons over here. Let's say if I put more pictures. Okay, I'm not using this particular option. I can show you maybe circles. It'll be much easier for you to understand. I'll delete this part. Okay, circle. Let's say I'm just trying to I'm just trying to create a small auto layout for this feature. Okay, I'm just deleting the other part. Imagine, like let's say if I am creating the spacing around it, I can also create a. Can you see there is a auto smart selection also, which will be good. Let's say if you want, you can able to change all these things and you can make a consistent one. You don't have to worry about alignment, spacing, everything. It can automatically. You just have to click this dot and you can move it. Okay. So now the beauty is, if I put Shift A, I'll get the auto layout for it. The beauty about auto layout is, can all of you see here? I can do it. I can do the spacing. I can do the change. But when it comes to shapes, you can click this option called include selection. Can all of you see? Like let's say if I precisely go and change the color of this, maybe you'll understand better. Okay, I have to go and check the stroke. I have to go and click the component. Yeah, correct. I can do maybe red. Okay, I can go and change maybe custom because it's all linked to a system. Okay, can all of you see here? Yeah, I can go and custom change it against the system. Let's put little blue over here. Okay, let's make it little blue. Cool. So now the 4 colors are available. Now I can go and click this option inside auto layout and you can see here excluded. See, Now I'm doing the change, it will all get excluded. Can all of you see? If I want to include, I can select the option called include and I can do it. So when it comes to creating overlaps, when it comes to creating overlays, this option will be very useful for you. Like, it may sound very simple for you, but the point is, when you have a complex objects and shapes and icons and buttons, you can do multiple level of include and exclude and try to see how it works for you. When it comes to the use case, you can find it more. And there is an option called first to last. Like, let's say you wanted to build this option. Okay, you can also see this option, like last to first. Can you see the black came first and then the red came to the last? You can do that. You can do whatever you want. And then if you want, you can change the alignment. But right now we have only one alignment which is already there. So you don't have to worry about that part. So the beauty about this is you can just try to arrange it, not a problem. And here, when it comes to text selection, like let's say you can also do text arrangement for this auto layout. Okay, you can use this option called hug content. That means it will just fix the content over here. The moment when you change it, the button only change, the content doesn't change. Can all of you see? And you can lock this constraint as well. Like, let's say if you want, you can able to lock this constraint over here. Can you see in the center, it is not moving? So using this alignment, you can refine a particular constraint so that the elements doesn't move. You can play around with whatever change you want. So this becomes very useful when you're building a responsive screen. See, the reason why this is not used is when you're creating a system, when you're creating a structure, when you're creating a framework for your project, everybody can follow this alignment. They can simply reuse your component. They don't have to do all these things over and over again, which will take huge time. And more importantly, there will be huge inconsistency when the customer uses multiple multiple screens of the app. This damages the brand consistency a lot. You can experiment with fixed width. You can also keep the button fixed, the width fixed, and then you can move around the content accordingly. It won't change, only the basic content will change. Like, let's say sometimes instead of this drop down menu, sometimes a small text may come, sometimes a bigger text may come. So in those case, you can just fix this option which is called fixed width will not change. And you can say add minimum width. Like, let's say whatever content I add, the minimum width can be this much, it won't go. Like, let's say you can add maximum width. So same like that, you can do. Right now we'll not see about variables. We'll look at only the four things, which is much easier. You can try it out, it's not a big deal. Same goes for height, whatever. So the point is, when you start constraining a dimension, when you start moving the content around, you tend to see that whatever you expect will come over here with the proper consistency, with the proper alignment, with the proper grid system. And I've not used grid system to build it, but you can also use this grids. In fact, in the last video I covered using these grids, you can start constructing these elements. You can start creating a seamless layout very easily, which is more scalable as well. This is the power of having a proper structural consistency inside your screens. And you can use this plugin called Stark to check the accessibility, color contrast, and everything. Of course, you can use design token generators, we'll cover in the next video. You can use chat gpt prompts to also generate this content over here, so that it becomes very easy for you to code the Figma plugin using this option. We'll see in the some other video why. Because when you give a project detail to a chat gpt using prompts, it will easily generate it for you. And you can use Relium library also for building some component audit. Relium is one of the beautiful tool, you can try it. So the reason why designers really wants to learn, I'm saying, is because all of the users brain loves rhythm and predictability. It will build a good trust and consistency inside your brand. It will give a dopamine hit for the user. Oh, wow, this is like really good. I'm using it, I'm getting it, I'm able to transfer the payment, I'm able to book the cab, I'm able to book the product for the e-commerce. See, that builds a very good consistency and success rate. Unaligned grids create a huge load. Repeated elements can create good memory patterns so that the user experience is better. Inconsistent UI will cause a lot of higher abandonment rate. So the point is, this much of importance is there for a designers to learn. Fine. What I wanted to tell you is, if you just type out spine in the chat box in the YouTube video or Instagram, we'll send you the free kit, which is like a consistency audit checklist with aligning the heuristics will be given to you. You can also align your existing project with this checklist to find out how your components, how your auto layouts, how your existing system is very consistent, and it's it's very much following the hierarchy and framework, so that it becomes more scalable inside your team for your projects. Okay, and also you can audit your last projects also, what you did in your office or in your exercise, what you did earlier, and to do it. More importantly, what I want to tell you is, now take this learning and build one screen and see how this consistency can help you build multiple screens, like 5 to 10. It may be a big game changer for you. And let me know, what did you learn from that making activity? Because design can only be learned when you do the activity practically, touch the tool and see it. But just watching this video, you won't be able to understand anything. Even if it feels like understanding, you won't be able to materialize it when it comes to real time action. How to make it into real time action, how to use this, Jagdish, to build a project, how to use this project, Jagdish, to build a portfolio, how to use this portfolio, Jagdish, to get a job. Attend my 4 hours design was workshop. The link is given below to know more about how you can make this design as a monetizable skill, how you can make this design skill into a money making design career, so that you can land up to 3x salary income in just 90 days. So attend the workshop. I'll tell you more about detailing in terms of design system, in terms of portfolio building, in terms of job search strategy. In fact, this is a peak of the hiring season. In fact, if you're watching this video later, you might not have the relevancy, but by the time we're talking, I'm recording this video on October. So this is a peak of the hiring season. So please do take the advantage by learning the skills, and you'll be getting the great value. If you wanted some kind of a personalized support, attend the workshop. I'll tell you more about it. I want to wish you all the best. Take care, guys.